Do help us to subscribe and hit the notification bell to enjoy more stories. Christmas Day. A day that was supposed to be filled with warmth, laughter, and love, became the coldest day of my life. The fireplace crackled. Laughter echoed from every corner of the living room. My wife's family, her parents, her brothers, her cousins, everyone was there, clinking glasses and unwrapping gifts. And there I was, sitting on the couch, smiling like a fool, thinking I was part of that happiness. Until my wife, Emily, walked over to me in her red dress, the same one I'd bought her last Christmas, and handed me a white envelope with trembling hands. At first, I thought it was a card. Maybe something sentimental, something about how far we'd come together after all our struggles this year. But when I opened it, my smile froze. Divorce papers. Signed. Dated. Finalized. And before I could even find my voice, before I could ask why, her entire family started clapping, cheering, like it was some kind of celebration. I looked around that room, my ears ringing, my heart pounding so loudly I could barely breathe. And in that moment, surrounded by people who once called me family, I realized this wasn't spontaneous. This was planned. And worse, I wasn't supposed to find out the truth that day. But fate had other plans. It started that morning. Emily had been quiet for days, weeks, actually. I thought it was stress. The holidays always made her anxious, she wanted everything perfect. But that Christmas morning, she woke up before dawn, already dressed, already distant. She didn't kiss me good morning. She didn't even look at me. Instead, she whispered, "Please don't make today harder than it needs to be." I didn't understand what she meant, not then. Her parents had invited us to their house for the annual family brunch. It was tradition. Every Christmas, we'd gather around their long oak table, exchange gifts, and pretend to be the perfect family. But that day, something felt different. When we arrived, everyone was too cheerful. Her father, who barely ever smiled at me, slapped my back like he'd just won the lottery. Her mother gave me a long, fake smile, the kind that never reached her eyes. "Ethan, so glad you could make it," she said, her tone syrupy sweet. "Of course," I replied, forcing a smile. "Wouldn't miss Christmas with the family." Family. That word would taste bitter by the end of the day. The morning passed in a blur of fake laughter and small talk. I noticed Emily's brothers whispering in corners, her cousins exchanging knowing glances. Every time I tried to talk to her, she avoided my eyes. When it was finally time to open gifts, Emily stood up, clutching that white envelope behind her back. "Before we start," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "I have something I need to do." I thought she was about to make a toast. Instead, she turned to me. "Ethan, this is for you." I took the envelope, heart pounding, and the moment I saw the legal letterhead, I felt the floor tilt beneath me. "What is this?" I whispered. Her eyes were wet, but not with sadness. More like relief. "I'm sorry," she said softly, "but I can't do this anymore." And then, the clapping started. Her brothers first. Then her cousins. Then her parents. Smiling. Laughing. Applauding. I looked around in disbelief. What the hell is going on? Her father raised his glass. "To Emily, for finally doing what we all knew she needed to do." The room erupted in cheers again. My hands shook. "You planned this?" Emily didn't answer. Her mother did. "Oh, Ethan," she said with a patronizing sigh, "don't act surprised. You had to know this day was coming." But I didn't. At least, Not until I saw the second envelope hidden under the first page of the divorce papers. It wasn't addressed to me. It was addressed to her father. And the moment I read what was inside, I realized I wasn't the one being played. They were. My hands were still shaking as I flipped the envelope over, my mind racing. The laughter around me blurred into noise, muffled, distant, cruel. Emily tried to reach for it, but I pulled it away. "What's this?" I asked, my voice low and tight. Her eyes widened, fear flickered there for the first time all day. "Ethan, don't," she began. But I'd already opened it. Inside was a folded letter with her father's name neatly typed at the top. I expected to see legal instructions, maybe something about property or the divorce settlement. Instead, what I read made my blood run cold. "Dad, I'm sorry for the money I took. I promise I'll pay it back once Ethan signs the papers and the account merges. He doesn't know anything yet. Please don't tell Mom until it's done. Emily." The room fell silent. All the cheering, all the laughter, it died instantly. Her father stood up, his face draining of color. What is that?" I looked him straight in the eye. "A confession," I said. "From your daughter." Emily gasped. "Ethan, please." I turned to her, my voice shaking now, not from fear, but from heartbreak. "You were going to merge my account? Take my savings? All this divorce circus, was to cover up what you stole." Her father's voice boomed, "Emily, what is he talking about?" She started crying then, soft, desperate tears that no longer fooled anyone. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said, trembling. "I just needed to fix things before he found out. I lost the money, okay? The business investment went bad, and—" I cut her off, my heart hammering in my chest. "So you married me, used my account, and then threw me away once it was done?" Her mother stepped forward. "Ethan, I think it's best if you leave. You've clearly misunderstood." "Misunderstood?" I laughed bitterly. "You all sat here clapping for a lie. You treated me like a fool, but your perfect daughter here is the one who's been stealing from her own husband and hiding it from all of you." Emily dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't want it like this," she cried. "I just needed time to fix it before it destroyed us both." But the truth was already tearing through the room. Her father turned away, muttering under his breath, her mother covered her face, and the rest of her family suddenly found the floor very interesting. 4 years, they'd seen me as the outsider, the quiet husband who wasn't good enough for their perfect Emily. But now, standing there with that letter in my hand, I wasn't the broken one anymore. They were. I folded the paper and slid it back into the envelope. "Keep your divorce," I said coldly, "and your fake sympathy. But remember this, I didn't destroy this family. She did." Then I placed the letter on the table, beside their untouched wine glasses, and walked out into the freezing Christmas night. The snow crunched under my feet as I got into my car, but before I could drive away, the front door burst open. Emily came running out barefoot, her hair wild, tears streaking her cheeks. "Ethan! Wait!" she screamed. "Please don't go. You don't know everything." I rolled down the window. "Then tell me." She hesitated, trembling, glancing back at the house. "It's not just about the money," she whispered. "If you leave now, you'll be in danger too." My heart stopped. "What do you mean, danger?" But before she could answer, a man stepped out of the shadows near the porch. Not her father. Not a relative. Someone I'd never seen before, tall, wearing a dark coat, watching me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Emily's voice broke. "Please, just go." The man took a slow step forward. And in that instant, I realized this wasn't just about betrayal or money anymore. Something darker was unfolding. Something that made the divorce, the letter, even the humiliation, look like part one of a much bigger plan. The man didn't speak. He just stood there at the edge of the porch, hands tucked in his long black coat, the glow from the Christmas lights flickering across his face. I couldn't see his eyes clearly, only the faintest smirk, like he knew something I didn't. Emily froze between us, trembling. "Ethan, please," she whispered again. "Just go." I stepped out of the car. My breath turned to fog in the cold night air. "No," I said, my voice steady now. "Not until someone tells me what's going on." Her father appeared in the doorway then, his face pale. "Emily," he hissed, "get inside. Now." But the man in the coat just chuckled softly. "Too late for that," he said, his voice deep and calm, too calm. He turned his gaze toward me. "So, you're Ethan." The way he said my name sent a chill straight through my spine. Emily's father tried to speak again, but the man raised a hand, silencing him instantly. "I told you to handle this quietly, didn't I?" he said to Emily. "But you couldn't keep it clean." Emily's voice broke. "I didn't mean for him to find out." "Find out what?" I demanded. The man turned toward me, smiling faintly. "That your lovely wife owes me quite a bit of money. And unfortunately for her, you're the only way she could pay me back." My heart pounded. "What are you talking about?" He took a step closer. Her little investment wasn't just a bad business deal. It was a cover. She borrowed money, a lot of it, to save her father's failing company. She used your name, your credit, your accounts. Clever girl, really. Emily started crying harder. "I was trying to protect you." "Protect me?" I said, my voice rising. "By forging my signature? By making me part of whatever this is?" The man laughed softly. "Don't be too hard on her, Ethan. She did it for love." He tilted his head. "At least at first." Her father shouted, "Get off my property." The man ignored him. He reached into his coat, and my heart nearly stopped, but instead of a weapon, he pulled out another envelope. He tossed it at my feet. "Consider that your receipt," he said. I bent down slowly, my hands shaking as I picked it up. Inside were documents, bank transfers, loans, signatures, my name, forged dozens of times. And then, at the bottom, a note written in red ink. "Due in full by December 25th, or the husband disappears." The world tilted around me. Emily collapsed into the snow, sobbing. I tried to fix it. I begged him to wait. The man looked at his watch, then back at me. "You've got until midnight, Mr. Bennett. Either the debt's paid, or I collect in another way." He turned and started walking down the street, whistling softly, his shadow stretching long under the streetlights. When he disappeared into the darkness, the only sound left was Emily's quiet, broken sobs. I stood there, still holding the papers, my mind spinning. Her father finally spoke, his voice trembling. "You should have told me it was that bad, Emily." She looked up at me, her face streaked with tears. "I thought I could fix it before he came after you," she said. "I never meant to hurt you. I just didn't know what else to do." I stared at her, the woman who'd humiliated me, betrayed me, used me, and yet, beneath all the anger, something twisted inside me. Fear. Not for me, but for her. Because if that man meant what I thought he did, we were both in danger now. I took a deep breath, my voice cold and deliberate. "Get up, Emily. We're leaving." She blinked through her tears. "Leaving? Where?" "Somewhere he won't find us," I said. "And on the way, you're going to tell me everything." As we drove off through the snowy streets, Christmas lights blurring outside the windshield, Emily's voice trembled beside me. "There's something I didn't tell you," she whispered. "That man, he's not just some lone shark. His." She stopped suddenly, clutching her chest as her breath hitched. "Emily," I said, glancing over. "What's wrong?" She turned toward me, her eyes wide with panic. "I think he poisoned me." And then her head slumped forward against the window. The car swerved on the icy road as I shouted her name. But she didn't answer. "Emily." Her name ripped from my throat as the car fishtailed across the icy road. I slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching, and we slid to a stop at the edge of a snowbank. My heart thundered in my chest. Her head hung limply against the window, her lips pale, her breaths shallow and uneven. "Emily! Stay with me!" I shook her gently, then harder when she didn't respond. No answer. I ripped off my coat, wrapped it around her, and grabbed my phone, but there was no signal. The snowstorm had worsened, covering everything in a blinding white haze. The nearest town was miles away. I leaned closer, pressing my ear to her chest, faint heartbeat. Weak, but still there. Relief and fear tangled inside me. I couldn't lose her, not like this. Not before I knew the truth. Then I saw it. A small puncture mark just beneath her collarbone. Fresh. It wasn't an accident. I drove like a madman through the storm, the world a blur of snow and headlights, until I spotted a flickering sign up ahead, a roadside diner, still open, glowing weakly through the night. I pulled in fast and carried her inside. The waitress gasped. "Oh my God, what happened?" "She collapsed. I think she's been poisoned," I said, voice shaking. "Call an ambulance." As she ran to the phone, I laid Emily on a booth seat. Her eyelids fluttered, her breathing ragged. "Ethan," she whispered. "I'm here," I said, gripping her hand. "You're okay. Just stay awake." Her eyes flicked toward the window, paranoid, terrified. "He's not gone," she murmured. "You don't understand, he's not just after money." "What do you mean?" I demanded. Her lips trembled. "The man in the coat, his name is Vance. He used to work for my father. Years ago. When Dad's company went bankrupt, Vance covered it up, falsified the books, and in exchange, Dad gave him control over a secret account. Offshore. Illegal." My stomach dropped. "Illegal? Emily, what did your family do?" She winced, clutching her chest. "They laundered money, through fake investors, fake loans. Your name was one of them. That's why he wanted me to marry you." My blood ran cold. "What?" Tears slipped down her cheeks. "He said if I didn't, he'd expose everything. The company, my parents, everyone. He made me take your name, your identity, and build a trail that would lead back to you, not them." I stepped back, my mind reeling. "So I was never meant to be your husband, I was meant to be your cover." Her eyes met mine, full of pain. "At first, yes. But then I fell in love with you, Ethan. That's why I couldn't go through with it. That's why I wanted out, to protect you. That's why he poisoned me tonight." Her hand tightened weakly around mine. "He knows I talked." Outside, the faint hum of an engine cut through the storm. The waitress turned from the counter, her face pale. "Sir, someone just pulled up." Through the diner's frosted window, I saw the headlights of a black car stop just outside. Vance. He stepped out, slow and deliberate, brushing snow from his coat, his silhouette framed by the red neon sign. Emily's breath hitched. "Ethan, please, don't let him take me." I looked down at her, then at the door. My pulse pounded in my ears. For the first time, I wasn't thinking about betrayal, or anger, or the pain of that Christmas morning. I was thinking about survival. Because if what she said was true, Vance didn't just want her, he wanted me, too. The diner door creaked open, and Vance stepped inside, calm as ever. He smiled when he saw us. "Running was a mistake," he said softly. "Now both of you will have to pay the price." I reached under the table, my hand closing around something cold and heavy, the metal wrench I'd spotted earlier near the heater vent. "Maybe not," I said quietly. For a split second, His smirk faltered. And in that silence, I realized something terrifying. He wasn't here to collect a debt anymore. He was here to erase the evidence. Vance's eyes flicked toward my hand beneath the table, and the faintest smile crept back across his face, the kind of smile that said he'd already thought 10 steps ahead of me. "Ethan," he said softly, his tone almost polite, "put down whatever you're holding. Let's not make this harder than it needs to be." The waitress froze behind the counter, her hand trembling on the phone. "Who are you?" she whispered. Vance didn't even glance her way. "No one you want to remember." He stepped closer. I tightened my grip on the wrench. My pulse thudded in my ears. "You poisoned her," I said. "Why?" He tilted his head slightly. "Because she talked. And because her family needed a lesson about loyalty." Emily groaned weakly behind me. "You'll never get away with this." Vance's eyes gleamed. "I already have." And that's when it hit me, the way he said her family. Her parents. Her brothers. The cheering. I straightened slowly, every nerve on edge. "You said her family needed a lesson. You mean, they knew?" He smirked. "Of course they knew. They made the deal. She was supposed to play her part. Marry you, keep quiet, make sure you never found out where the money came from. But she fell in love, and that complicated things." I felt sick. "So when they cheered, they were celebrating their freedom," he finished. "Once she handed you those divorce papers, she signed everything over. The company, the accounts, even the debt. Her family's slate wiped clean. Yours? Not so much." The room spun. The divorce wasn't betrayal, it was transfer. They'd been cheering because Emily had taken the fall for them. I turned to her, voice cracking. "You knew?" Tears streamed down her face. "I had no choice. They said if I didn't go through with it, they'd ruin you and my family. I was trying to end it before he did this." Vance sighed. "Touching. But we're done here." He reached inside his coat again, but this time, I didn't wait. I swung the wrench. Hard. It caught him across the arm, sending something metallic clattering to the floor. A gun. He staggered back, snarling, and I lunged forward, slamming him against the booth. The waitress screamed and ducked behind the counter as we crashed to the ground. "Ethan!" Emily cried. Vance grabbed my collar, his breath hot and furious. "You don't understand, boy," he growled. "You think she's the victim here? You think she didn't help me set this up?" I froze mid-struggle. "What are you talking about?" He smirked through gritted teeth. "She's been playing both sides since the beginning. Ask her where the second poison vial is." My stomach dropped. "What?" I turned to Emily, but she was crying, shaking her head. "He's lying, Ethan." Vance's hand closed around my wrist, shoving me off balance. "Look in her purse," he spat. "Go on. See who's really dying tonight." For a split second, I didn't know who to believe. Then I saw it. Her purse spilled open on the booth, and nestled among her things was a small glass vial. Half empty. The same one I'd seen near her father's study a week before. Emily's face went white. "Ethan, it's not what you think." But the truth was already unraveling, faster than either of us could stop it. Sirens wailed in the distance. The waitress must have gotten through. Vance grinned through a split lip. "Guess we're out of time." He shoved me away and bolted for the back door, disappearing into the snowstorm just as police lights flashed outside. I turned back to Emily. Her body trembled as the poison continued to spread. "Please," she whispered, "don't let them find that vial." If they do, they'll think I planned it all. My throat burned. Did you? She looked up at me, her eyes full of love, guilt, and something deeper. No, she said softly. But my father did. That vial was never for me. I blinked. What? She coughed, her voice fading. It was for you, Ethan. The divorce dinner, the wine glass, he was supposed to slip it in your drink. They wanted to end everything clean. The company, the debt, the evidence. My blood ran cold. They wanted you dead, she whispered. And I couldn't let them. Her hand fell limp in mine. Hours later, I sat in the hospital waiting room, her words replaying over and over in my mind. Emily survived, barely. The doctors said it would take days before they knew if there'd be lasting damage. Vance was gone. Her family, arrested. And me? I was left with the truth, the bitter, brutal truth that my wife had betrayed me to protect me from something far worse. When the nurse finally told me she was awake, I went to her room. She looked fragile, pale against the white sheets, but when she saw me, she smiled faintly. You stayed, she whispered. Of course I did, I said quietly. You gave me the best Christmas gift of all. Her tired eyes softened. What's that? The truth. But as I reached for her hand, I noticed something, a faint smudge of red ink on her wrist. The same color as the note inside Vance's envelope. And suddenly, a terrible thought crossed my mind. What if Vance wasn't the one who poisoned her after all? The hospital room was still. Too still. Machines hummed softly, and the snow outside painted ghostly reflections on the window pane. Emily lay there, pale and weak, her hand resting gently on mine. But all I could see was that faint red stain on her wrist, a smudge that didn't belong. Red ink. The same ink that had been used to write those chilling words on Vance's letter. Due in full by December 25th, or the husband disappears. At first, I told myself it meant nothing. Maybe it was from the letter itself. Maybe it had rubbed off when I showed her the papers. But something inside me, a whisper I didn't want to hear, said otherwise. I cleared my throat. Emily, that mark on your wrist. How did it get there? Her eyelids fluttered open slowly, and for a moment, she didn't answer. Then she smiled faintly, tiredly. You're still suspicious of me, aren't you? Just tell me, I said softly. She sighed. When Vance first threatened me, I panicked. I went to the bank to move the money before he could touch it. I wrote letters, signed things in red ink to make them stand out. Her voice cracked. I must have gotten some on me that day. It sounded believable. Almost too believable. But then I noticed something else. On the nightstand beside her bed lay her purse, sealed in a clear police evidence bag. Inside it, tucked between her belongings, was a pen. A red ink pen. When the nurse left the room, I quietly pulled the chair closer. Emily, I said carefully, the police are asking questions. They found that vial. They want to know who really poisoned you. She closed her eyes. And what did you tell them? I told them I didn't know, I replied. Because I don't. Her hand trembled slightly. You shouldn't protect me, Ethan. Then tell me the truth, I said. All of it. Not the version you gave your father. Not the one Vance fed me. Yours. Her eyes opened again, this time sharper, clearer than they'd been all night. You really want the truth, she whispered. I nodded slowly. She looked away, tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. The poison wasn't meant for you. Or for me. I frowned. Then who? She turned back to me, her voice barely above a whisper. It was meant for Vance. My breath caught. He was blackmailing my father, yes, she said, but he was also lying to him, taking more money than promised, threatening to expose things even after Dad paid. I found out. And I tried to end it. She looked down, guilt heavy in her tone. That night, before dinner, I switched the wine glasses. I meant to give him the poisoned one. Not you, not me. I wanted to stop him before he hurt anyone else. My throat went dry. Emily, you tried to kill him. She nodded slowly. But he never drank it. Somehow, he found out. And when he touched me that night, when he brushed my skin, he must have slipped some of it back into my glass. That's how I was poisoned. She let out a shaky breath. He beat me at my own game. I leaned back in my chair, stunned. All this time, the betrayal, the divorce, the debt, the humiliation, had been a smokescreen for something darker. A war between Emily and Vance. A war that began long before I even knew his name. The red ink on her wrist, it wasn't an accident. It was a signature, her silent confession. You were ready to die for it, I whispered. Her eyes glistened. No, she said softly. I was ready to be free. Days passed. Emily slowly recovered, and the police widened their search for Vance. But deep down, I knew he was too smart to get caught. He'd disappear, just like the money, just like the truth. Then, one night, a nurse handed me an envelope. No sender, she said. It was left at the front desk for you. I opened it carefully. Inside was a single piece of paper, typed in red ink. She didn't fail. She succeeded. No signature. No address. Just those words. My hands shook as I looked at Emily sleeping peacefully in her hospital bed. Her breathing was steady, her face calm. But that red ink, it wasn't just a stain anymore. It was a reminder that even love, when pushed far enough, can become a weapon. And every Christmas since, when I see red ribbons tied around gifts, I think about that night. The night my wife handed me divorce papers. The night her family cheered. The night I thought I'd lost everything, only to realize, too late, that I'd married the most dangerous woman I'd ever loved. Christmas Eve. Exactly 1 year since the night everything fell apart, and somehow, everything changed. Snow drifted down over the quiet streets as I parked my car outside the same house where it had all begun. Emily's parents had sold it months ago. The windows were dark now, the garden overgrown, the festive lights long gone. But I came anyway. Not for them. For her. It had been months since I'd last seen Emily. After she recovered, she cooperated with the police, up to a point. She gave them enough to expose her father's fraud and the family's laundering, but when the case against Vance came up, she vanished. No goodbye. No note. Just gone. Sometimes I wondered if she'd been taken. Other times, I wondered if she'd finally done what she always wanted, disappear and start over. Yet, somehow, I could never stop looking over my shoulder every time I saw red ink, red lipstick, or even a red ribbon tied to a lamppost. Because Emily always left signs. I walked up the icy path toward the porch. The air was still, heavy with silence and memory. Then I saw it, a small package resting on the doorstep, wrapped in plain brown paper with a crimson ribbon tied around it. My heart kicked hard against my ribs. No return name. No address. Just one word, written in that same unmistakable handwriting. Ethan. My fingers trembled as I untied the ribbon. Inside was a small wooden box. And beneath it, a folded letter, written in red ink. ****. If you're reading this, It means I kept my promise, you're safe, and Vance is gone. Don't ask how. Just know he'll never find anyone again. I never wanted you to see the side of me that had to fight like that. But you did, and you still stayed, even when you shouldn't have. You once told me love means protecting someone even when they stop deserving it. You did that for me. This is my last gift to you, the truth and your freedom. The accounts have been closed, your name is clear. Everything tied to me, to my family, to what we did, is gone. If someday you find a woman who makes you laugh again, love her with the honesty I never could. But if you ever see a red ribbon again, don't be afraid. Just smile. It means I'm still watching. Merry Christmas. E. ***. My eyes blurred. For a moment, the world around me felt distant. The snow, the dark, the cold, all fading into quiet. Inside the wooden box was a single photograph, Emily and me, at the Christmas market 2 years ago. She was laughing, head thrown back, snowflakes in her hair. I looked happy. On the back of the photo, she had written one last message. I did love you. I just loved you dangerously. As I stood there, the wind picked up, scattering snow across the porch. The crimson ribbon fluttered from my hand, twisting in the air before drifting off into the night. And in that moment, I could almost hear her voice, soft, teasing, familiar, whispering my name the way she used to. I smiled, half in pain, half in peace. Because for the first time since that Christmas day, I understood. Emily hadn't left to escape punishment. She'd left to give me back my life. And that, her silence, her sacrifice, her haunting love, was the last Christmas gift she'd ever give me.